Real Madrid supporters, pay attention. The name of Vinicius Jr. is once again dominating the headlines across Spain, Europe, and beyond. The young Brazilian, a player who has already gifted countless magical nights at the Santiago Bernabéu with decisive goals, dazzling dribbles, and fearless performances that have become etched in the collective memory of Madridismo, now finds himself at one of the most tense and uncertain moments since joining the club. When Vinicius first arrived in Madrid as a teenager, many questioned whether he had the maturity, the technique, and the temperament to thrive under the crushing pressure of the world's most demanding club. In those early seasons, he was often criticized for wastefulness in front of goal, for inconsistency, and for flashes of brilliance that didn't always translate into results. But gradually, through resilience, sheer work ethic, and the support of the coaching staff, Vinicius grew. He became not only a starter, but a decisive figure in some of Real Madrid's most important matches. His name is now synonymous with electricity on the pitch. Every time he touches the ball, there is a ripple of anticipation. Defenders backpedal, entire stadiums hold their breath, and commentators raise their voices in expectation. In recent years, Vinicius has turned into more than just a promise. He has become one of the leaders of the post-Cristiano Ronaldo era, the symbol of a new generation determined to continue Madrid's tradition of dominance. And yet, the narrative has shifted. Despite the countless nights of joy he has given, despite goals that brought Champions League glory and La Liga triumphs, Vinicius now faces doubts both inside and outside the club. The player himself has made it crystal clear on numerous occasions. He wants to stay at Real Madrid. His dream is to continue wearing the famous white shirt, to keep lifting trophies, to keep fighting for history. "Madrid is my home," he has said more than once, underlining his ambition to one day be considered a club legend. But dreams and declarations are not always enough. Behind the scenes, the situation has become increasingly complex. Florentino Perez, the powerful president of Real Madrid, is renowned for his strict principles when it comes to squad management. His philosophy is simple but ruthless. No individual, no matter how talented, can ever stand above the institution. Over the years, Florentino has made decisions that stunned the football world, from parting ways with icons like Raúl and Iker Casillas, to refusing to bend for Cristiano Ronaldo's demands. And now, reports suggest that his patience with Vinicius is beginning to wear thin. For Perez, football is not just about dribbles and goals, it is about discipline, commitment, and harmony within the club. Once his patience runs out, the ending is usually inevitable. And for Vinicius, this is where the alarm bells begin to ring. Meanwhile, the fans, the lifeblood of the club, are divided in their judgment. A significant portion of Madridistas still believe wholeheartedly in Vinicius. To them, he represents something unique, that rare, unpredictable spark capable of breaking open the tightest defenses and deciding the biggest matches. They remember his iconic Champions League goal against Liverpool in Paris, his fearless displays against Barcelona, his ability to stand up when the team needed him most. For these fans, selling him would be a colossal mistake, the kind of decision that could haunt the club for years to come. Yet, the other side of the Bernabéu is growing louder. Increasingly, there are those who believe now may be the perfect moment to cash in. Vinicius' market value remains astronomical, with top European clubs, from the Premier League to Paris to Munich, keeping a close eye on the situation. The argument is simple. Sell him while his stock is high, use the funds to rebuild, and avoid the risk of keeping a player whose relationship with the fans and the institution seems to be deteriorating. Fueling this skepticism are recent gestures on the pitch. Visible frustration, heated arguments with referees, moments of selfishness in attack. These incidents may appear minor, but at the Bernabéu, they are magnified under the harsh spotlight of scrutiny. Here, every gesture, every comment, every facial expression is analyzed. And when the atmosphere begins to sour, the consequences are swift and severe. No one doubts what Vinicius has already achieved. He has been a central figure in historic comebacks, decisive in Champions League triumphs, and crucial in La Liga title runs. His explosiveness, his fearlessness, and his resilience have placed him on the map of world football's elite. But football is not only about the past, it is about what comes next. And this brings us to the burning question that now dominates Madridismo. Has the time come to say goodbye to Vinicius Jr.? Is this the moment to turn the page, to close a chapter filled with unforgettable highs but increasingly complicated lows? Or is there still within him that decisive player, the game-changer who can win finals, who can silence critics with a single sprint down the wing, who can once again carry Real Madrid on his shoulders when the moment demands it. The debate is open, and as always with Real Madrid, it is lived with passion, with intensity, and with the sense that history is being written in real time. Because this club, more than any other, operates under an unforgiving principle, legends are celebrated endlessly, but questioned constantly. For Vinicius Jr., the future remains uncertain. What is certain, however, is that his story at Real Madrid, whether it continues for a decade or ends much sooner, will be remembered as one of the most fascinating sagas of modern football. One of the hottest and most delicate topics currently dominating conversations inside the modern training complex of Valdebebas does not concern tactical adjustments, contract renewals, or even the next big-name signing. Instead, it revolves around the immediate future of a teenager, Endrick, the much-heralded Brazilian prodigy who arrived at Real Madrid surrounded by breathtaking levels of expectation. Branded from day one as a future global superstar, he was signed not just as a footballer, but as a symbol of continuity in the club's tradition of blending world-class signings with generational talents. When Real Madrid secured his services, headlines around the globe spoke of yet another Brazilian gem destined to wear the white shirt. Supporters imagined him following in the footsteps of Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, and even legends of the past like Ronaldo Nazario or Kaká. Yet reality, at least in these opening months, has been far less glamorous. Despite the buzz and anticipation, Endrick has barely featured in competitive fixtures, leaving fans, journalists, and analysts alike asking, what comes next for him? The explanation for this limited playing time is straightforward but unsatisfying. The competition in Real Madrid's attacking line is brutal, arguably unmatched anywhere else in world football. The likes of Vinicius and Rodrigo, alongside stars such as Jude Bellingham, who has redefined the role of an attacking midfielder, Joselu's veteran presence, and the inevitable looming shadow of Kylian Mbappe rumors, all contribute to a crowded frontline. In such an environment, every minute must be earned. And Carlo Ancelotti, known for his pragmatism and unwillingness to hand out opportunities simply for development's sake, has never been a coach to gift playing time. Thus emerges the great debate that dominates the boardroom and fills the Spanish sports press. Should Endrick remain in Madrid, fighting for scraps of playing time in the most competitive team on the planet, or should he be loaned out in January to gain experience? The loudest whispers suggest one particular destination, Real Betis, a club with ambition, an attacking philosophy, and a loyal, passionate fan base at the Benito Villamarín. The case for a loan. From one perspective, the argument for sending Endrick on loan is compelling. At Betis, he would likely be guaranteed significant minutes in La Liga, a competition whose intensity, physicality, and tactical diversity are ideal for a young forward's growth. Playing under a coach who encourages expressive football could allow Endrick to refine his finishing, develop chemistry with experienced teammates, and most importantly, gain the rhythm of regular competitive football. There is also the element of adaptation. Moving directly from Brazil to the demands of Real Madrid is akin to jumping from a classroom straight into a graduate seminar at Harvard. It can be overwhelming. A stepping stone, like Betis, provides the opportunity to adapt not only to Spanish football but also to European life off the pitch, the language, the culture, and the expectations of fans. Many within the Madrid hierarchy believe such an environment could unlock his potential far quicker than occasional cameos in Madrid's crowded squad. The case against a loan. Yet, others argue with equal passion that sending Endrick away would be a miscalculation. Their reasoning is rooted in the belief that the true essence of a Real Madrid player is forged not through minutes elsewhere, but through daily immersion in the club's unique culture of excellence. Training at Valdebebas means sharing the field with players who have won Champions Leagues, learning directly from icons like Luka Modric or Toni Kroos, and understanding, on a visceral level, what it means to represent the most scrutinized and demanding club on earth. This school of thought insists that Endrick's development is not just about goals, assists, or playing time. It's about mental toughness, resilience, and the ability to handle pressure. If you want to become a Real Madrid player, you have to become one at Real Madrid, is the unspoken motto. According to this perspective, even if Endrick plays sparingly this season, the lessons he absorbs every single day at Valdebebas will shape him in ways a loan move never could. Historical precedents. History, of course, provides examples to support both sides of the argument. On one hand, the club can point to success stories of players who benefited enormously from a loan spell. Dani Carvajal famously spent a year at Bayer Leverkusen, returning not just more polished but indispensable, cementing his place as the club's right back for more than a decade. Casemiro, too, went to Porto, came back, and ultimately became the anchor of the midfield during Madrid's Golden Champions League era. On the other hand, there are players who stayed, endured criticism, and eventually triumphed. Vinicius Jr. himself was, at first, dismissed as wasteful and inconsistent. Rodrygo was labeled as too light for Spanish football. Both endured periods of doubt, but both grew into decisive stars precisely because they learned to weather the storm inside the Santiago Bernabéu, where every misplaced pass is analyzed and every missed chance magnified. The age factor. And then there is the most important detail. Endrick is only 18 years old. At that age, most footballers are still developing physically and mentally, far from the finished product. The football world, however, is increasingly impatient. The modern cycle of media and fan expectations demands instant success, forgetting that legends like Karim Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, or even Lionel Messi experienced periods of growth, adjustment, and gradual ascension before dominating the world stage. For Endrick, patience may prove to be his greatest ally, but patience is a virtue often in short supply at Real Madrid, where the pressure to win is relentless and constant. The symbolism of the decision. Ultimately, the Endrick dilemma transcends the player himself. It symbolizes the broader identity struggle of Real Madrid, how to balance the immediate need for results with the long-term vision of developing young stars. Every decision made by the club sends a message, not only to fans but also to the football world. Loaning him would suggest pragmatism, a recognition that the path to stardom requires stages. Keeping him, however, would reaffirm Madrid's belief in its unique environment as the ultimate finishing school. Whatever choice is made, it will shape not only Endrick's trajectory but also the narrative of Madrid's strategy in the coming years. Will he become another Carvajal, flourishing after a temporary move away, or another Vinicius, blossoming after enduring criticism within the club? For now, the teenager trains, waits, and listens. He is caught between two futures, one filled with guaranteed playing time elsewhere, and another defined by patience, competition, and the weight of the white shirt. And as Madridistas know all too well, the margin between legend and disappointment at the Santiago Bernabéu is paper-thin. The debate remains unresolved, but one thing is clear: the story of Endrick is only just beginning. And now we arrive at what could very well be the third major piece of news in the transfer sphere, a development that has the potential to redefine the defensive future of Real Madrid. It revolves around one of the brightest young defenders in world football, William Saliba. At just 23 years of age, the French international has established himself not only as a cornerstone of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal project, but also as one of the most reliable and complete centre-backs currently playing in Europe's elite competitions. Saliba is not your average defender. His profile is the perfect blend of physical dominance, intelligence, composure under pressure, and that intangible sense of authority that only the great centre-backs possess. His blend of speed and strength allows him to cover vast spaces when defending high up the pitch, while his positional awareness and timing in tackles make him just as effective when Arsenal are forced to defend deeper. Add to this his aerial presence, his ability to play out from the back with remarkable calmness, and a level of maturity beyond his years, and it becomes clear why his name has been on the radar of Real Madrid for several months. For Madrid, the attraction is obvious. This is a club that, while currently boasting defensive talents such as Eder Militao, Antonio Rudiger, and the evergreen leadership of Nacho, is fully aware that the long-term picture must always be considered. Militao's serious injury last season reminded everyone at the Bernabéu that depth in defense is not just a luxury but a necessity. Meanwhile, Rudiger, though performing at an excellent level, is on the wrong side of 30. And Nacho, the loyal servant of the club, is approaching the twilight of his career. With the future in mind, Florentino Perez and his team know that acquiring a young yet fully established centre-back is not merely opportunistic, it is strategic, perhaps even essential. William Saliba fits that mold perfectly. The Frenchman has been indispensable for Arsenal since returning from his loan spell at Marseille, and his importance to Arteta's system cannot be overstated. In fact, when Saliba was injured towards the end of the 2022-23 season, Arsenal's title challenge collapsed almost overnight, underlining how much of the defensive structure was built upon his presence. He reads the game with the anticipation of a veteran, yet he has the athletic gifts of a player just entering his prime. It is this rare combination, youth, consistency, and proven leadership, that makes him so coveted across Europe. Arsenal, of course, are acutely aware of what they possess. The London club acted decisively to tie Saliba down with a long-term renewal until 2030, accompanied by a significant pay rise and protective clauses designed to dissuade predators. Publicly, both the board and Arteta have made it clear that Saliba is non-transferable and integral to their project. And yet, history teaches us a valuable lesson. When Real Madrid enters the conversation, even the most ironclad commitments can be shaken. The Bernabeu's gravitational pull has a way of bending destinies. Saliba himself has never openly declared his wish to join Real Madrid. He is far too professional and politically astute to ignite such a firestorm while contracted to Arsenal. But there have been subtle hints, suggestive comments, and passing remarks in interviews that betray a dream quietly nurtured, the idea of one day wearing the iconic white shirt. It is, after all, the pinnacle for many players. Madrid is not merely a club, it is an institution, a footballing dynasty that offers not only trophies but immortality. And when a footballer of Saliba's caliber begins to lean in that direction, more often than not, events eventually conspire to make it happen. For Madrid supporters, the prospect is tantalizing. Imagine Saliba commanding the defensive line in the Santiago Bernabeu for the next 5, 6, or 7 seasons. Picture him marshalling the backline in Champions League nights against Europe's finest, his composure and authority setting the tone for a new era. The parallels are inevitable. The signing of Sergio Ramos in 2005 from Sevilla, which shaped the club's defensive identity for over a decade, or the arrival of Rafael Varane in 2011, when Madrid bet on youth and reaped the rewards of a world-class defender who blossomed into a legend. Saliba could very well represent the next chapter in that tradition. And here is the crucial part. Reports indicate that contacts have already been made between the player's entourage and Real Madrid's representatives. This is not idle gossip generated by tabloids, but genuine preliminary discussions, the kind of subtle groundwork that Madrid has perfected over decades. Florentino Perez is renowned for his patience. He does not rush monumental signings. He nurtures them, waits for the precise moment when all conditions align, and then strikes with decisive force. If Saliba continues to harbor the dream of playing for Madrid, the club will bide its time, confident that eventually the opportunity will present itself. For Arsenal, the challenge will be immense. They are a proud club, rich in tradition, with a project that is clearly on the rise under Arteta. They want to build around Saliba, to make him not just a cornerstone of their defense but a symbol of their ambitions. Yet the Premier League, for all its glamour, does not carry the same mythic allure as Madrid. Players who have reached the highest levels often feel that only one destination remains to cement their legacy: the Santiago Bernabeu. So the questions linger. Can Arsenal truly retain Saliba until 2030 and beyond? Or will the inexorable pull of Madrid eventually prove irresistible? Will the financial power, the sporting prestige, and the historic magnetism of the Spanish giants break through Arsenal's carefully constructed barriers? Time alone will provide the answers. But one thing is certain: in Madrid, the dream has already begun. Fans whisper his name, analysts draw parallels to past legends, and within the club's corridors there is quiet confidence that Saliba could one day be the face of a new defensive dynasty. Should this transfer materialize, it would not simply be another signing. It would be a generational move, one that shapes the trajectory of the team for the next decade. In the end, William Saliba's story may very well become another chapter in the long saga of players who dared to dream of the Bernabeu, and eventually found themselves standing beneath its lights, wearing the all-white kit, and writing their names into the history of the most decorated football club in the world.